Yeah, I mean, this is a new thing. I mean, I don't really have an introduction for this either. So, I mean, it's just
Patent pending.
yeah, pan pending. Just trying to figure out how these things will go. I mean, I don't. At least for right now, I don't really feel like I need an introduction for these things. At least as far as if I don't know how they're really going to be presented. But at least for right now, this is just something casual, and just kind of just talking and just you know uh, having people just listen to us, just kind of speak our mind a little bit, and just kind of talking about what's going on in our immediate lives right now and whatnot. So
For sure, for sure.
yeah, but I mean, I will bring up our little our time at Dave and Buster's today
Oh yeah,
because you won yourself a good amount of tickets today, good sir.
we raked it in today.
Yeah,
For sure, yeah.
yeah, because we went there and I was trying to use a coupon that I wanted you to utilize, but they don't let us use it on Wednesdays.
Mhm.
So uh, the way we did it was that I actually just gave you 200 chips because that's the amount that you would have gotten anyway with the coupon.
Yep.
And then from there you just used the chips that you got from me. And so you put in $20 worth of chips essentially with the coupon into your card, and you won $60 worth of tickets. So you made a profit of $40 today at Dave and
Heck
Buster's.
yeah, dude.
You man, you little swindler over there. You're good though. You're good at those games at Dave and Buster's.
Hey, once you know what you're good at, just stick to that.
Yeah.
But if you're good at a lot of things, it helps. So.
Yeah. I mean, you're really good at hyper pitch. I mean.
Yeah, that game for sure. I mean, it was nice too because like to beat the bonus or whatever.
Mhm.
Since we went like pretty much at the start of the day. The machines like reset to 4,000. So if you beat that score, then you get the bonus on it.
Yeah.
And you actually beat it first.
Yeah. Well, we went head to head actually
Yeah.
for the first time. And
You actually beat it first.
Yeah.
So you got yourself a nice little bonus there.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to because I have been getting better at that game when I go by myself. But knowing you, like I know you're gonna most likely win it right away. So that's why okay.
Yep.
If I'm gonna have a chance to beat this score, I have to do it
Yep.
now. So that's why when we were done going head to head and none of us won it, I just kind of inserted myself to try to win it because I didn't think I was gonna beat your score, and sure enough, I mean after I won it, then you just played the rest of the time, and dude, you beat my score by like 2,000.
I think I beat it 2 or 3 times in between there. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, my last one I got, I think 1,800. You get 3 throws, so 1,800 I think on the first throw.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got 2,000 on the second throw.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it was, but like 1,888 and then like 2,015 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there thinking before the third throw, like I think I only had to beat 4,700.
Mm-hmm.
So I only needed like another 1,000, but.
Yeah.
Since like if you hit the bullseye, you get a lot. So I was like, all right, either if I hit the bullseye at a low speed, that'll probably be about 1,000 and I'll get it. But if I'm off at all, then it needs to be fast because I need 1,000. So,
Yeah.
So I threw it, as hard as I could, and as accurate as I could, and I actually got 2,100 in that third throw. So it ended up being about 6,000.
Yeah. Well, and your throws are impressive too because. Well, for me, I because you were watching me too. When I was doing my throws, like you were watching me kind of toss the ball a little bit over my hand because I was trying to essentially psych myself up so that way I felt the right moment to throw the ball. I was trying to like time it right so that way I knew like okay, right now I want to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But you like. So I'll, like if I do that for myself, I probably will reach like 55, maybe 60 miles per hour. You reached that by just flicking the ball from like right up front, and I'm like, dude, like how? And like I'm a bigger dude than you, and I mean I have a little bit more muscle than you, but you're just you just flick your wrist and you get the same amount of speed than I do. I'm like, dude, how does you do it? Yeah, technique.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you're really good at that game, and that's why I like today. If I'm gonna get a jackpot today, like I'm just gonna do it right away and just get my score and just let you do your thing. But you rake it in at Dave and Buster's. Dude, you average probably like a good 5,000 tickets every time you go.
Yeah, almost every visit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and then you have that game. You have the Yahtzee game you like playing there.
That was lucky today,
Yeah.
dude. We got lucky today on
Yeah.
Yahtzee.
Yeah, because well, you're trying to go for the sequences to like get the jackpot, and so you had to play 5 times in a row and get at least 105 points altogether with all the dice or wherever the balls landed on the
Yep.
set of dice. And so there were 2 times where every time you started a new sequence,
Yeah.
you got a full house.
Yeah.
Like,
Or no,
jeez.
it
No, it
was
was
a
a
large straight.
large straight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
large
right.
straight.
Oh, dude,
On the
jeez.
first roll.
Yeah,
Like 2 through 6.
yeah. Like, jeez, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was insanely lucky.
Yeah, that game you're good at too. And then you tried your hand at the what's it called, the Wily Crash?
Oh yeah, the Wily Crash game where
Yeah.
you basically have this little dude in a cannon,
Mm-hmm.
and you just you press start and it aims it by tilting it up and down,
Yeah,
and you just press it down when you want to actually launch him, and then you
Yeah.
gotta land on the rooftops, and so you gotta aim it just perfect. And there's also some birds flying in the sky, so
yeah.
you gotta navigate the birds.
Yeah, you're usually good at that game.
Yeah.
But today, I guess you're a little off, but you still got 100, which
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
considering like the
So perfect
precision
would
you
be
need.
500, but
Yeah.
if you're in between those buildings, you only get 6.
Yeah,
And so the building right next to it, I hit it I think all 3 times
Yeah.
that I tried it. One time you just barely slid off, and then the next 2 times I landed on top. So I was like, all right,
yeah,
we're good on that game.
yeah. Which I mean, yeah, 200 to at least earn off of 3 chances like
Yeah.
that. Like that's not bad at all.
Yep, made out like a bandit today.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then oh, and then the what is it, the fidget spinner one too?
Oh, yep.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
tried that one, and you were really close that first time. You were like
Yeah.
five rotations per minute off.
Yeah,
Or
it was
or 10, I think.
super close.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, it was 2 spots off of the $1,000 bonus, which
Mhm.
was still 50 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one, I think I was like 4 over, so like 2 shy first time, and then 4 over the next time,
Mm-hmm.
which was still 150. So in those first 2 tries, I still averaged 100
Yeah.
tickets in those first 2 tries.
Yeah. No, I mean you might have been a little off today, but I mean still 6,000 today. I mean you did good. You had a good day today, dude. Busters. So, which I'm glad you get to go because I know you don't usually have Wednesdays off anyways. So
Yeah, well, usually just like half of the day on Wednesday, but since it's President's Day week, I was able to get. I worked all day on Monday, so I got
Mhm.
my Tuesday and Wednesday off this week.
Yeah.
So I had the full day off today,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, and you had a good weekend, right? Of sales.
Yeah, it was a pretty good weekend. So pretty steady, actually, kind of for the most part, which is how we usually like it because then we're able to actually get to, most of our customers.
Mhm.
And if it's super busy and there's everybody in all at the same time, then it can be kind of difficult, to bounce from one person to another.
Yeah.
But it was actually a pretty steady pace, which was really nice.
Yeah. I mean, sales jobs, they're it's yeah, because when you have a lot of traffic, and you're trying to address so many people at one time, that can be really stressful. And you're trying to talk to people all day too, so I'm
Mhm.
sure that's eventually you have to worry about your voice just kind of fading
Yeah.
out a little bit and stuff like that.
The colder weather out too, voice being a little dry. It was a little tough, but
Yeah.
I brought some extra water, so we made it through it.
There you go. Yeah. No, but I mean, you're really good at your job though too. I mean, you're assistant manager of the store, so people need mattresses. So
Mhm.
you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna have any worry about people not needing a mattress at all because that's essentially what they need to sleep. I mean, at least I hope a majority of people have mattresses to sleep on. So
Well, yeah, I work up in Longmont too, and Longmont's kind of growing, so
Mhm.
it's a good market for us to be in, since the city's kind of expanding as well.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I mean, I think up there is still a little bit cheaper compared to over here down in Denver. So I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sure people are maybe a little bit more able to afford mattresses up there, but nonetheless, yeah, when more people are moving in and they possibly need furniture, that's probably really convenient for them to just pop in and just ask for what a quote is for a mattress and then they're on their way. I mean, you're really good with talking with people too, and you're really nice and you're willing to hang out with your explain people all the way what they need to know and like explain the products of what you guys have on inventory and stuff like that. You're really nice and I'm sure, I mean, you've been there for so long and you've done it for so long, I'm sure that you've kind of got it down to a T. But I mean, you can't really teach, how to be kind to customers. I think for you that comes really, naturally. And
Well, prior to Denver Mattress, I worked at a rec center with kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was dealing with a lot of parents and stuff like that, and so
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my customer service skills actually were developed before I actually worked at Denver
Right.
Mattress.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just trying to make sure that parents were happy with where they were either dropping other kids off for, or if they're sticking around for the practices or games or whatever. Like I was the coach, I set up the equipment, I was the ref in some cases, so I was pretty involved in like the whole process for the
Yeah.
youth sports at the rec center. And so I had to have a lot of customer service, but sometimes I also worked at the front desk at the rec center, or did scorekeeping for like adult leagues. So a lot of it came from that too, because especially in competitive arenas.
Yeah.
If people aren't getting their way, you got to appease them. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that too, because like I said, patience isn't easily, doesn't come easy to a lot of people, and so especially when involving kids and stuff, to have that probably goes a long way. And I'm sure you made a lot of, I'm sure you've helped a lot of people or a lot of parents know that their kids are, or at least with a, a safe environment when they're being coached under you and
yeah.
Just.
So yeah, I mean, but a lot of it did come from that. But even at Denver Mattress too, like, we are really into customer service, and want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, by the customer, but also the right thing for our company. And so, we have a saying that says, you can either do the right thing or you can do things right, but we strive to do both.
Yeah. Well, that's a good motto. Yeah. Well, and I mean, why do it any other way? Right?
Yeah.
And especially when you're trying to excel in customer service, like people can more likely than not tell that you're, kind of blowing smoke in their face, when you're trying to, potentially sell them something or not, So well, first of all, when people are involved with like salesmen and stuff, they already have probably a preconceived like anxiety, or notion, or probably have anxiety before they even meet the person because they're just worried that they're going to be like sold all different kinds of things that they might not be able to afford or they don't necessarily need. So for them to probably approach you and you just there to just know what they need and just recommend what they need based on the information they give you, that probably gives them a lot of peace of mind, knowing that no one's trying to force me to buy anything or pressure me to buy anything. They really want me to just have what I need, because you also have to deal with customers returning things if they can't even use them to begin with after they buy it. So because of that, to avoid that potential situation, it's best that you just sell them what they initially need, so that way they just have it and they're satisfied.
Yeah, and I think since it is kind of a commission-based job, we have full incentive to try to make sure that we're taking care of the customer, the first time around.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like it doesn't do us any good to just sell somebody the most expensive mattress if they're just gonna hate it, and then return it later. Then you get all excited about, oh, I made a big sale or whatever, but then if it comes right back the next week or a couple weeks after they get it delivered.
Yeah.
That's why I think like one correlation that I guess I could say to the customer service point, from both the rec center job that I worked and the Denver Mattress job is just setting proper expectations. That's really what customer service is about. Is if you have good expectations right off the bat, then it's not even going to develop into a problem later down the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you do have to deal with difficult situations in the moment. If things do heat up, but hopefully we don't escalate things to that point.
Right.
And so that's really the mindset that can help to have a great amount of customer service regardless of what job you have.
Right. Exactly.
If you're just able to set proper expectations right off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, by your character alone, I know that being very genuine means a lot to you. So I'm sure that helps in the job itself, knowing that your one of your core convictions is just trying to be as truthful to people as possible anyway. And I that's one of the things I admire about you a lot, is that you're very true to your convictions and you stick to your guns, but you try to be you try to help people as much as possible. You try to do what's best and is beneficial for people all around you, and everything you do to try to be as beneficial no matter what you try to do around the people around you. And I really admire that about you, because it's because I mean, I haven't been roommates for you for for 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
I've had a lot of chances to talk to you, and you've allowed me to confide in you a lot, and you've been there to kind of just ease me in the frustrations that I've had, a lot of times, and kind of just, heard me, you allow me to just kind of talk things out with you, and, the things I've kind of gone through in my mind, and you just been there to kind of just listen and provide, whatever advice you can give me, and, ease of mind that you can give me, and, you're willing, and I think you're a lot of people can say that about you, a lot of our friends can probably say that, you are a person that's just willing to be there and be what people need you to be for them, because it's not easy for a lot of people to do that, and I'm sure I would hope that people have expressed that appreciation towards you throughout your life. um, yes. Yeah, you definitely done that for me, and I really do appreciate that about you.
Well, that means a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And you try to, you know I know that you try to at least just be as neutral as possible too, which is what people need, especially nowadays when people are so passionate about certain things and stuff like that. You try to maintain a level head with people as much as possible, try to help them just to, be as reasonable and as rational about things, and just kind of, you know, at least ensure that they understand like what's going on, and have thought things through, so that way you can help them to, you know make the best decision based on like whatever they're going through and stuff like that. You're very, because of your insistence to kind of just be neutral and know the situation to its fullest, that helps people to at least make the most thoughtful decisions in whatever they're trying to do in the future and whatnot. So I think overall, you're a really good guy in that you do just try to make sure that people are in the best positions they can be, if they're if you happen to be helping them out, or if you're, for whatever reason, like if they need your assistance for one reason or another. So yeah, I think, and you're thriving in your job, and you've won a lot of contests all throughout your time at Denver Mattress and stuff too. So you're kicking butt.
Well, I appreciate that, but I can't take all the credit, because I've had tons of mentors, friends, family members around me that have not just pushed me but believed in me and expressed that to me. That if you're not doing as best as you want to be doing, if you have a solid group of people around you that are pushing you and encouraging you, like it really does truly make a big difference. And so I've felt that in my own life, and because of that, I've wanted to be that same light and kind of presence of positivity in other people's lives too, because I know a lot of people out there probably don't have that same level of support, either from their family or either from a group of friends, or work environment, whatever it is, neighborhood. There's tons of people out there, I'm sure, in the world that don't have that same level of encouragement from those around them. So wherever I can be a light, like I know the whole golden rule thing, doing to others as you would have them do unto you. That's exactly what I needed. And so I'm really appreciative of all the friends, family, counselors, mentors that have come around me. And on kind of that note, even back to thinking to a counselor that I had at CCU, when I was in therapy, told me that you can make a lot of decisions based off of emotions, and you can make a lot of decisions based off of logic. And it's kind of like a pendulum, so you can swing back and forth one way, way to the emotional side of things, and make a lot of emotional decisions, or you can swing over to the logic side and you can make a lot of decisions that are just, you think, based off of logic without emotion. He said, since it's kind of like a pendulum, you want to kind of balance yourself and fall kind of right there in the middle, so that you take into consideration the emotion of the situation, but you also take into consideration what makes sense. And then once you've kind of thought about it for a minute, then you can make kind of a balanced, level-headed decision. So that actually really helped me to make a lot of decisions too. So
yeah, well, I like that you bring that up too, because I yeah, that's exactly right. Unfortunately, there are people that don't have people around them to kind of give them that accountability or that sense of guidance to help them reassure them of making the right decisions or helping them at least make the proper thought process of like what they need to do or how to you know properly decipher like okay like I'm in this situation and I need to figure out like okay like what's the best course of action for me and the people around me and because of that people do just end up making a lot of rash decisions that do end up not only hurting them but the people around them
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it just takes even if people don't have access to therapists just a good friend a friend that genuinely cares about your well-being and how your actions the consequences of your actions will affect you in the future and so, unfortunately people don't even have that either, which is kind of a unfortunate reality but for you to acknowledge that that's really mature of you because a lot of people even then if they do have friends like that they kind of just think that they're just doing everything on their own and kind of just living life and making it work by themselves when really it does having just a little bit of help around you does go a long way for a lot of people and so for you to acknowledge that that's awesome and I mean we do have good friends, we do have great friends, I'd
Oh
say
yeah.
I mean and I mean one of them because I mean you like going disc golfing now and you picked that up just recently within the last couple of years because of
Since
Josiah.
COVID, pretty much. Yep.
Yeah, and you gotten really good at that too. And you and Josiah, I don't know if I mean, I guess I don't want to try to put words in your mouth, but I mean, you guys probably have developed quite a little bit of a rivalry because of that, as far as disc
Believe
golf
it or
goes.
not, actually not so much.
Okay.
In all honesty, I know we're both pretty competitive guys, so
Mm-hmm.
both of us obviously like to win. But that's why I think disc golf is such a cool sport because you're really only competing against yourself if you think about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sure, you could join tournaments and stuff like that, and nowadays we actually have, we like me and him actually did a tournament together, like a doubles tournament. So
Mm-hmm.
that was actually pretty fun because I got to be on his team.
Yeah. Well, I
um,
mean, if you have Josiah on your team
oh
too,
yeah,
I mean, you're
oh
probably
yeah,
guaranteed to at least
yeah.
do pretty
Yeah,
decently.
we did. We got in the top 10, so I was grateful that he was on my side that
Yeah.
time. But no, when I started out playing, it was more so an individual sport that I was like, all right, well, I can throw a disc at a basket, and if I don't make it in a certain amount of tries, then I can move on to the next basket and hopefully do better.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you keep track of your score for the whole round, and then you look at that. You come back to the same course. Next week, next day, or next month, or whatever.
Hmm.
You try to do better, and so it's also good, I think, like mental health sort of sport because you can. I mean, yeah, sure. You ask any pro disc golfer, it can be angering. If you're not doing as well as you want it to be.
Hmm.
But when you throw a good shot, or especially if you get an ace, that's so it's such a good feeling, to do that, and I've finally been able to do that a few times now, so
Yeah.
proud of that.
There you go. Well, is there a disc golfer that you try to mimic your game off of?
Oh man, that's a good question. There's bits and pieces I think that I pull from because I only just started watching disc golf, too, in the last couple years.
Mm, fair.
So I don't know, everybody that well yet,
Hmm.
but there's certain little things that I've noticed, that some disc golfers do really, really well,
Hmm.
and they're consistent with it. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is, if you're able to be consistent,
Yeah.
then, it's just minor little tweaks. Once you get that little tiny thing that, wasn't going super well, but you can tweak it just a little bit, and then you build that consistency, then you can really strengthen your game, by making those little minor adjustments.
Yeah.
So like putting, for example, like if you're just always off a little bit to the left,
Hmm.
and you just adjust it by aiming a little more to the right, or with especially wind, that's a difficult thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, Josiah's also helped me to figure out how to make the right wind reads and stuff too, because
Hmm.
if you have a headwind, you got to play it differently than if you have a tailwind.
Hmm.
A tailwind is going to make it, once you throw it, it's going to drop quicker.
Yeah.
Whereas a headwind, if you're throwing into that, it's going to push it up. So you got to
Mhm.
aim a little bit lower if it's a headwind. You got to aim a little bit higher if it's a tailwind. So just things like that, you learn as you go.
Mhm.
Or if you have somebody like Josiah, he tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty persistent. I mean, when he started getting into disc golf, he was trying to get all of us
But
into
yeah,
disc golf, and when we would play with him, he told us exactly what we needed to do, which, that's admirable because I mean, obviously he's taking it seriously, but for him to be so impassioned to try to make
hmm
sure that whoever else is trying to do it can get it as precise as they can, and teaching them like in the moment, in
yeah.
real time, like that's
Well, I
really
mean,
impressive.
that's I think another reason I like disc golf is because like he and I are both so analytical when it comes to sports.
Hmm.
Like like I was saying at Dave and Buster's earlier, a lot of the things with hyper pitch, are about technique.
Yeah.
And so that's basically all the sports that I've played since high school too. Was like
Hmm.
basketball, volleyball, tennis. A lot of those like quote unquote non-contact sports.
Hmm.
There's sometimes still a little bit of contact, but it's mainly about technique. If you have proper form in most of those cases, you're going to do well. And so
Hmm.
if you can tweak your form a little bit, and you kind of get it nailed down and dialed in, then you're going to improve.
Yeah.
So it's the same with disc golf. It's once you get the proper form down, you kind of tweak it a little bit. You keep practicing. It's just that's just how it goes. So
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things about you and Josiah too that's really admirable is once you guys are set on something and you guys are really trying to work hard towards mastering that thing, you guys do all that you can to be just like as good as you can in that specific subject. So like when you picked up disc golf, like you were, I mean, you try to go as
I
often
was
as you can.
terrible in the beginning.
Oh yeah, but you've gotten a lot better though. You
Oh
have
yeah,
gotten a lot better,
yeah.
and it's because you've studied the game. You're trying to watch
hmm
pros playing, and you go out and play, and then you try to mimic how those pro players are throwing the disc, and like trying to take into account like the headwind and like how to throw it and whatnot. Like Josiah would tell you, or like how the pro players are trying to do it in those situations,
hmm
and because of that, you refined your game so much that you've gone really good. Like I think you're really good. And you would tell me when you'd go play disc golf with Dan that, well, like that one time where you were telling me that you got a hole in one when you went out with Dan that one time. And and even then, like there's times where you told me
What was it
that
at Springville
it
or?
might have been,
Okay.
but like I know you've told me at one time where you'll try to throw your disc to get a hole in one, and you get just close but not there.
Uh-huh.
But then like you'll just throw just like a
Second.
yeah, second one, and you just get the hole in one.
Yeah.
Like, geez, dude, like that's crazy.
Yeah, it's happened a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, you gotten really good, but that's because of your dedication to refining your skills in those things that you're impassioned about. And I mean, that's what you have to do in general if you really want to get good at something, right?
Yeah.
Is like you just have to take the time and study the game and just get at it just little by little, getting better, so that way at some point you do get really good and you're probably at a satisfactory level of mastery that you feel content with. But I know that for you, because you've done it with disc golf, you've done it with basketball, and you've done it with just like, well, I personally think you're just naturally good when you're kind of just doing random things like at Dave and Buster's. Like again, you go back and you're able to just win tickets after not having been there for like a couple months or so. And in a Mario Kart too, you've played that a while ago, but not this type of Mario Kart. Like the Mario Kart that you play on the Switch,
hmm
you were just introduced to that like when we became roommates, and so in the span of like 3 years, like you've
I
gotten really
mean,
good at that.
really, the secret is reps and dedication. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you put in the work and you do the practice and stuff like that, the more that you practice something, the better you're going to get, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be related to anything. If it's not just sports, but if you would rather improve relationship or something like that, or you want to get better at your job.
Uh-huh.
If you're practicing hard for a test or exam that's coming up.
Yeah.
The more that you read and study and put in the work and stuff like that, the better you're going to do on the test, as opposed to if you just show up and you're like, all right, I guess I'm here to take this test, but you haven't read the material or practiced or anything, like obviously you're not going to do well.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I realized that at a young age, and I was just like, yeah, man, I guess if I want to be good at anything, just dedicate yourself to it, and then you'll be good at it.
Yeah.
It's like, duh.
Yeah. Well, and you have to take it seriously, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's what you do too. Is you don't just take anything lightly. Like if something's presented to you, and if you're supposed to take it seriously, well, that's what you do. You know, you don't just kind of like brush it off like, you know, I'll just wish washy it. You know, I'll half-ass it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna take something seriously, you are gonna take something seriously, which
Yeah.
is admirable too. You know, and just ensuring that you do give 100% of your effort into the things that you care to actually, you know, do well and whatnot. You know, and you don't even I don't think you even waste any of your time putting in effort into things that you don't care to do, you know, which is good because, you know, you don't want to just be wasting time doing meaningless things in your life. You know, you want to make sure that every second of your life counts because you're not going to get any of that time back, you know. And so why I'm sure you probably think like, you know, why half-ass anything if in something that I care about when I can just do it well and be good at it, you know.
Well, it's not always about just like, you know, being good at everything either. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like there are things that I, you know, don't put my all into, but it's because I guess, yeah, like you said, like either I don't think it's as important. Like some video games, you know, is a good example. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be the best at a certain video game or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mostly that's going to be a thing where I'm just like, all right, it's been a long day or whatever. I'm just kind of resting and relaxing or
Yeah.
kind of winding down after work. So hop on and play some video games for a bit and then go to bed. Like I don't really need to be the best at video games.
Yeah. That's fair.
I know that I'm good at Mario Kart, I guess, because like you said, played it as a kid. So
Mm-hmm.
like I had put in reps and stuff like that, and I know how to drift and everything. So I mean, just again, like I've played it for a while. So yeah, naturally, after having done it for years and years, I should be good.
Yeah. Well, what's a
But
game? What's a game that you like to play that puts you at ease, or that kind of helps you unwind?
um, honestly, it's not really a game, but I actually have a few puzzles here.
Okay.
And so sometimes I just, you know, if I'm winding down and just want to be at peace and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I just start matching puzzle pieces.
That's fair. Yeah, you have one right here on the
Yeah.
table, and it's all put together. You just kind of letting it sit there. It looks nice.
Yeah. So I
It's a nice
mean,
picture.
some things like that, or I mean, honestly, disc golf is one of those things too, where you know, like I feel like that's a thing where, yeah, I'd like to be better, and so I've you know put in some work and practice, but I don't need to be you know Calvin Heimberg or anything.
Yeah, that's
You know,
fair.
like I don't need to be the best disc golfer out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'd still like to improve my personal game, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out every once in a while and throw the discs and log around. But you know, like I definitely think you know I'd like to join some tournaments too because I do find enjoyment in that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it does give me peace. You know, sometimes just to go out and get a little bit of exercise and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So I guess that's an activity where you know I find peace from it.
Yeah.
But you know, unless it's a really windy day and I'm like, you know, all right, well that one hole took me 7 strokes.
Your disc is just flying left and right all over the place.
Yeah, then it's a little angering.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
On non-windy days, it's a peaceful sport.
Yeah. So then, what drives you to be better then? Like, what drives you to be a better person?
um, that's a really good question. I think,
Or at least just like better in general in everything you do.
yeah, I think there's a few things I could attribute that to. One, I guess, is, you know, just personally, I want to be the best that I can be. You know, for if it is just like a competitive situation, you know, I do have a spirit that I like to win. So, you know, I drive myself sometimes in sometimes meaningless things, but, you know, if it's a competitive thing, then I'm like, okay, how can I win or whatever. You know, two, in a different way, kind of for my family. You know, you know, I know my parents have poured a lot into me, and I want to honor them with what I do with my life. So, you know, I want to be successful and stuff like that, and I want to, you know, pursue my hopes and dreams. You know, to honor them, but also, you know, to have a good life, and eventually, when I get married, you know, to have a good setup for my spouse and future kids and stuff like that. That's something that drives me. To you know have a better life, and then third, I mean, you know, the most important one I would say is you know to honor God because He's given me a lot in my life that I do not deserve, and He's given me mercy and grace that I don't deserve. And so you know the most important thing you know is to me to honor God with what I do with my life. So whether that is you know how I compete whether it's, what I do for work, how I present myself, how I encourage others, anything like that. Like I know there's a verse in the Bible that says, whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it for, the glory of God.
Exactly. Yeah.
That honestly has been one of the biggest things for me, I think, throughout my life. I grew up in the church down in Colorado Springs, and went to CCU, studied youth ministry. So I mean, it's been a theme throughout my life. But like I said earlier, it's a lot of coaches, teachers, mentors, friends, neighbors, family, that have poured into me, and so I also feel a sense of like I need to do that for others as well. So
Yeah, no, that's admirable, very admirable. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have, at least as far as trying to, um, trying to make it worthwhile for what their parents did and stuff like that too. I'm sure lots of people can resonate with that, but yeah, I mean, and even that too, I'm sure that for yourself, because as you're, moving forward in life, the only person that you can really, that only, when you obviously when you're living life, it's just you, right? And everything that you do affects you ultimately, and so, you know, you probably do want to just at least do the best you can for yourself, but for you to represent those that help support you throughout your life, I'm sure, not only does that give you that much more encouragement to move forward, but I'm sure those people that you acknowledge that have poured so much into you really appreciate that you're not just taking what they've done for you for granted, and you're willing to represent what they've done for you in a good character, so that way they know that what they've done for you means a lot to you, and how they support you in your life. So that, I think that's very admirable, and that's awesome that you have that sort of sentiment and that mentality. um, and I mean, I'm sure if everybody had that mentality, a lot of people would feel like their lives would probably have been more fulfilled, and a lot more meaningful, knowing that what they've done in their lives have meant something to other people, and the people that supported them in their lives too.
yeah, I mean, like I've always kind of had this thought, since, well, I guess I shouldn't say always, but um, pretty much right around my freshman year of college. It was really that summer, I think, that put things into perspective for me. Because I actually ended up taking this summer course with Dan, and it was like a arts course or something like that. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I was like, oh, man, I don't want to do art. Like, that's not something I'm passionate about. But we had to, I think, like write like a, I don't remember what it was, like an essay or a prompt or something that eventually, I guess it led me to like writing a rap that summer. And so then I was like I kind of was on a hike, just thinking about some lyrics that like rhymed and stuff, and I started putting things together, and it was kind of based off of a couple things I had learned in that class, but also just other lyrics that I've heard from other rappers and songwriters and stuff. So I just started, I don't know, putting things together. I finished my project and stuff like that. I told Dan about it. And then that summer we were on like a mission trip, and so I remember Kiki, when we were in New York. I was just like practicing in like the subway, and she like turned around and heard me, and I thought that she thought like I was somebody else, because I was just like like reciting my lyrics that I had wrote. And she's like, "You need to do King Cougar," and I was like, "No." Like, I am super shy normally, so I was like, "Yeah, no, that's not happening." But she encouraged me also to just see how it would go, and I did the performance. I kind of enlisted Parker to help give me a beat and stuff like that for it, and eventually did it, and that was like one of the biggest things that like was usually anti-me. Like, my mom has told me that like working for Denver Mattress as a salesperson and doing that rap on stage in front of hundreds of people at CCU were like the two biggest things I've done in my life that have shocked her. But like both of those things were things that I didn't initially want to do, but was encouraged to do by others.
Yeah.
And so like I know that I've I had a fun time doing that rap, and it was really fun and enjoyable, and it meant a lot to me too. It was something that I incorporated God a lot in. So, you know, like I only did it because I felt like he gave me something that I wanted to share with people, and Kiki again kind of encouraged me to, you know, perform that.
Yeah.
And then with DMC, like, you know, Pierre was the one who kind of encouraged me to actually, you know, work for Denver Mattress, because I was like, I want to sell mattresses, man. Like, I enjoyed, you know, youth sports and playing with kids, and, you know, basketball, volleyball, soccer, baseball, all that sort of stuff. Like, I already enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But he was like, well, you're going to set yourself up, you know, really well for your future, and, you know, you got to think about that. He's like, you're going to make more than you did at the rec center. So I was like, all right, I'll at least give it a try. But then when I did the interview, you know, they told me in the interview that, you know, they have 5 core beliefs, and that is, you know, they believe in themselves, they believe in the company, they believe in their products that they carry, they believe in the customer and their needs and try to help them out, and then also that sales is an honorable profession. And that last one really struck a chord with me because, you know, prior to my knowledge of, you know, sales, I always thought that, you know, like used car salesman is basically like the stereotypical sales job, you know, where they have the bad rap about, you know, just pushing things on you that you don't really need. And I was like, no, like cars salesman and every other salesman is just like a greasy, grimy, you know, like in it for themselves sort of person. I was like, I'm not going to be that. But when I did this interview and they were like, yeah, we believe that sales can be an honorable profession, I was like, oh, you're different. And so I was like, all right, I'll check it out and see what you guys are all about then. And I found that to be true, you know, once I started with the company. And that's why, you know, like I've promoted and, you know, believe in the company and stuff too. So, I mean, yeah, if it's, you know, going to help change the stigma about salespeople, I was like, all right, shoot, it's not something I'm used to, but yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, I mean, we're both Christians, you know, and so, you know, we both believe that, you know, God put certain situations in our lives, and I mean, it's intended for us to be able to grow, you know, as followers of Christ, right? But we do have to make that choice, you know, to allow whatever situations come in our lives to build us into better Christians, or at least just better people in general, right? And so, you know, what is a particular situation in your life? It could be Denver Mattress or King Cougar that actually helps you grow to be a better person, and by extension, a better Christian, you'd say.
Well, shoot, dude, I could I could mention a bunch of different things.
Fair.
But again, I feel like I have to attribute something like that to, I mean, I got to give credit where it's due. So my mentor Walt has been, you know, a huge part of my life, especially since CCU. You know, he's poured a lot into me, and I really appreciate everything that he's done for me as well. Because he's, you know, encouraged me to get in the Word and have quiet times, you know, study the Bible, and helped me to process certain things too. You know, that prior to talking with him in the Navigators group with Caleb and Steven and Matt, you know, like I wouldn't have probably thought there as many things, you know, as level-headed, you know, as we talked about, without his guidance. So, I mean, he's been a huge character in my life, you know, that I really admire and respect, and honestly don't give enough credit to. But you know, he reaches out to me pretty often, and I try to, you know, go down and see him. He lives, you know, about 45 minutes south of here. You know, at least you know, once every month, once every couple months. Kind of on Tuesdays usually is a good day for us. So
yeah.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I need to get back to him too.
Sorry, mentor.
Yeah. Sorry,
sorry, senpai. I need to get back to you.
Yeah. But no, like, you know, if he does ever hear this, like I do really appreciate everything that he's done for me for sure.
Yeah.
And so I got to give him a whole lot of credit for, you know, putting up with me and dealing with you know, my slow response. Because sometimes, you know, I do take longer to think about things than most other people, because I really want to make sure that I'm making the right decisions. I want to let things, you know, kind of sit in my brain. So, you know, people who are like, oh, I need a response like right away, like stresses me out. So yeah, that's why I wasn't ever really good in tests. I think either like time tests in school and stuff like that. Gosh, dude, that scared me a lot.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's it's for specific people sometimes. Not everybody responds well to one particular test and stuff like that. But no, that's awesome. And I mean, like I said earlier, I'm sure all the people who know you, they see who you are and they're proud of where you are right now. And I'm sure that they've acknowledged all the growth that you've been through. For your mom to say that about the King Cougar and Denver mattress, I'm sure
Hmm.
she says that, but with great pride that you've grown so much to embrace those challenges and make the most of them. And here you are, and I mean, now here you are, you can live by yourself because of Denver Mattress, have your own apartment,
Hmm.
look to potentially have your own home in the future with the same job still, and doing things that you didn't think you'd be doing in the past, looking forward. But here you are now, and I think you're in a great spot right now in your life. And like I said, you're a great guy, and you're very admirable by a lot of people. You have a lot of friends that truly care about you and have seen your walk, and just want to. I mean, they just love to be around you, and they just love to talk to you and just get to know how you're doing, and and just want to continue to see how far you go. And I personally think you still have so much to accomplish, and you have a lot of untapped potential that you can still reach. And I mean, we've talked about this before too, but you don't necessarily see yourself staying at Denver Mattress because you do have a particular career goal that you want to approach at some point. Um, but I mean, do you like where do you want to end up being? I guess here in the near future, or unless do you feel like you're pretty content with where you're at right now and kind of just want to stick to your current path of life?
Yeah, I mean that's a scary question for me because I've been asked before about where do you see yourself in the next 5 years
Mm-hmm.
from friends, family, neighbors, coworkers. Like especially Camille, my boss at work, asks me like every year pretty much like because we do promote from within the company, so I if I am going to promote, I would become a store manager instead of just an assistant store manager.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to give a 2 year commitment to that. So, I would be, if I do promote, committing at least for another probably few years, not just 2 years, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would consider it. But, like I did get a degree in youth ministry. And I do feel a calling to someday get back into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember, like I said, I enjoyed, working at the rec center in youth sports and that sort of thing. Like I felt a lot of, purpose and enjoyment in that. So I really, when I took this job, felt like, all right, this is going to be a big test for me to see, do I really trust that God can use me wherever I'm at?
Mm-hmm.
And I've fully believed that, so wherever I end up, I'll sit on it, I'll pray on it, I'll trust God's guidance, and the people that I trust in my life to give me good advice as well. And I know that, whether I continue with Denver Mattress for another 10, 15, 20 years or, move on from them in the next 2 years, I'll trust God to guide me, wherever I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it does mean getting back involved with a church or something like that and joining a youth program, or, if it means getting into youth sports in a larger capacity or being like a basketball coach or something.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that I've kind of thought about, and I might, delve back into in a bit. But I really do feel at peace with where I'm at right now, and I don't feel in a big rush to change anything.
Yeah.
But I am excited for that change to come in the future if and when it does happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome, Jake.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, if there's any one particular thing, I mean, and this is kind of getting really deep, but if there's one particular thing that can kind of just come to your mind when I ask this, is there any one particular piece of advice that you probably just want to, you know, say, for the records, that way people can potentially just take with it what they will, but just give them a sense of encouragement to how they should proceed with the rest of their life, or how to just kind of
Yeah.
keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this too, but the whole idea of you really don't get to choose when and where you're an example of something.
Mm-hmm.
But you do get to choose if you're a good or a bad example of that thing. So, if it's, who you are at work, if you're a salesperson, if you're a cook, if you're, a coach, it doesn't matter what your job is. If you want to be a good example of that, you get to choose to be a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have a bad, spirit about it, and, you want to be a downer at work, or, in whatever job you do, and it doesn't have to be where you actually work. It could be relational. It could be a number of different things. You get to choose whether or not you want to try to be a good example, or a bad example. But you won't really know, when someone else is looking at you as an example of that thing. So I've tried to bear that in mind. That other people are watching me in my life, and they'll see the fruits of my spirit and stuff like that too. So we are known by our fruits, and so if you gaze at somebody and you see like they're really a downer and stuff like that, and they have a poor spirit about everything, and just everything's all ho-hum or whatever, like that doesn't really help to encourage a whole lot of other people. So if you're happy and stuff like that, it's tough, but even though I've been through a lot in my life, like I still try to be a positive influence to those around me, because I do believe, like once you put your mind to something, wherever you're at in life, if you're in the lowest season of your life or the highest season of your life, you still have a choice, to try to move on and improve yourself, and kind of encourage those around you as well to better the world around you. So, I mean, that's something, if anything, I would want to leave anybody with is, you always have, the chance to impact those around you. So, just try not to miss out on those opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, if anything, I'm definitely gonna try my best to be better at you at Mario Kart. Because that's the one thing I know I can be competitive against you with. But as far as like disc golf and stuff goes, yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna have a hard time.
Hey, I mean, we've raced a couple hundred times against each other now, and we're pretty even. So
yeah, close. I mean, we
pretty close. Yeah.
I think you have probably like 10 wins over me now so far. But so, I mean, I gotta pick up the slack. I gotta get there.
we gotta go after Justin, right?
Justin, man, yes. I mean, that guy, he rubs it in my face all the time too. He has like a 3-to-1 ratio on me, and he has like 900 wins to like my 300, whatever. But you're welcome, Justin. I just said that on record, in recording, so you're very welcome. But
you're welcome too. I made him say
it. I guess to make this a little bit more lighthearted, because it just made me think about this. So let's just set the record straight, okay?
All right.
WWE is real.
Oh my goodness.
It's real.
There are people present for an activity. All right.
But it's real. Professional wrestling is real. Professional wrestling is real.
You want me to bust out the video?
What video?
Because I do also have a recording of you admitting opposite to that.
Yeah, that's fake news.
Oh my god. All right, we'll bring out the button too.
Sure.
Well, I guess the jury's still out on it then.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, you see it happening in real time, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it's scripted though.
You think that people falling on their back is scripted?
Yeah.
Or you think there's just like little micro paddings on their back? They're not actually falling on their back?
No, they're falling. That part is real.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
When they hit each other, that part is kind of real.
Yeah.
But they don't hit each other as hard as they can.
Come on now. Those are big guys throwing massive swinging arms at each other.
They like stomp at the same time they pretend to throw a punch.
That's just how hard the punch is. The echo is just, it bounces off the ring. That's how strong it is. And I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Well, I guess we'll agree to disagree on it.
Well, I guess there's one thing that you're lost in. In all your great wisdom, sir. No, but I appreciate you doing this test discussion with me, dude.
Yeah, man.
This is nice. I mean,
yeah.
I figure you'd definitely be a great person to test this with, and I think this is a really good conversation.
Well, yeah. I know we've had plenty of other conversations like this before, so I'm glad we were able to finally actually get a mic in front of us and allow others to kind of be a part of it.
Yeah, well, at least just I thought this sort of method of conversation, or at least these sort of this method of videos can help kind of just allow people to allow themselves to speak their mind a little bit, or kind of just express their thought process of life and whatnot, and just see how other people resonate with that. And I think I'm sure people if they listen to this all the way, they'll resonate with the same things that you've talked about. And like I said, a lot of people admire you, so I think it's
Oh
cool for some.
shucks.
So I think it'd be cool for people to actually kind of hear you like speak out, your drive, and what you actually how you actually perceive you know progress in life, and just how you conduct yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm normally more of the shy, kind of reserved sort of guy who'll sit in the back of the class and just let other people talk. And then, I usually prefer more of this sort of setting, anyways, the kind of one on one personal, types of conversations. But yeah, I'm kind of curious too to see, if other people have comments, thoughts, anything like that. I'm more than willing to respond to them if need be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anything, I just because I want to do this with other people, but like I was telling you beforehand too, I definitely want people to I want this to be as natural and as casual as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of like an interview kind of setup, but just for people to kind of just talk and just speak their mind a little bit, or but I like because I like to know uh what makes people tick, like what the thought process is about things and stuff, and how
Mm-hmm.
why they choose to why they choose to conduct themselves in the way they do in life, and what drives them to do that, so I think letting people just kind of you know express themselves, and talk about those things. I think it'd be cool for everybody to see
Yeah.
how similar they are, and similar mindsets and stuff like that. So again, I appreciate you being the first one to test this with me, and hopefully
Yeah, man.
I'll get another chance to do, or I'll get a chance to do this with other people, and maybe we can do this again, and maybe have a semi more deeper conversation about other things and whatnot, or just kind of talk about random crap involving Mar.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, random shenanigans. So that's probably typically what we talk about more so.
Yeah.
But this is just more of a test
Yeah.
to see how this format goes. So, but again, I really appreciate you,
Well, yeah, no,
testing this
thanks
with me.
for kind of taking the initiative to, set this up and want to talk to me and encourage me to, and the ways that you have. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
So, well, thank everybody for watching,
yeah,
and
thank you
hopefully
guys.
we'll see more. Hopefully, I'll be able to release more videos like this. But if not, just stay tuned for my other videos. And again, I appreciate everybody who's been watching, who's been tuning into my videos, and hope you enjoyed this one. And take care, and God bless. Until next time.